Welcome everybody, you have landed on the channel of the Ebb Fats. My name is Ebb and we will be talking today again about the wonderful game that is Championship Manager 2001-2002. Specifically today in this video we'll be talking about the clubs in the English Premier League, and we'll be looking at their starting finances and their starting training facilities, so you can use that going forward to help you choose what team you begin a save with and know just how much money you have to spend, and also know what kind of training facilities you will have at the club to be able to improve and enhance the players that you're signing. Now today you'll see that I'm using the starter kit. The starter kit is available from Champman0102.net, the one-stop shop for the game. It was created by a guy called John Betts, a wonderful piece of kit which will allow you to just pretty much set up the game within mere minutes to be able to play either the original database, the 3.9.68 database, and a number of different databases that have also been added to it. These include some of the recent updates from that website, the Champman0102 website, but also some historical databases as well. They've been created recently, an 89-90 database, a 95-96 database, lots of different ones. It's available on Windows, it's available on Mac. So yeah, if you get onto the Champman website or to John Betts github.com page, you'll be able to download this starter kit and get yourself going really quickly. What we'll be doing today is just looking at the finances of the teams in the Premier League. So let's get into that now. So obviously 20 teams in the league going back to 2001-2002. We will work through them obviously in alphabetical order. What you'll be able to do, which you can't do on the original game, is see a team's finances without taking them over. But on the starter kit there is a section called the miscellaneous patches section, and John has created a small couple of patches that will allow you to actually look at their finances. So it will tell you how much they have in the bank, how much you'll have as a transfer budget, but it'll also tell you what their training facilities are like on a scale of 1 to 20. You don't get that in the original game, you just get a worded way of telling you how good they are. This will tell you in number form also, scaling from 1, a poor, to 20, amazing. So we'll begin with Arsenal. And here they are. So Arsenal of July 2001 are managed by Arsene Wenger, and you will see they're there at Highbury still. A capacity of 38,420 in the stadium, but also you'll see that training ground, excellent, 20 out of 20. So you know if you take over Arsenal in this game, you will have the best available training ground and youth facilities to prepare young players, enhance young players, get those wonder kids in, and hopefully get them to the best of their abilities. What you'll also see though is the finances of the club. So they will start with £26.97 million in the bank and transfer funds of £29 million. The second club is Aston Villa. They play at Villa Park, bigger stadium than Highbury, 42,790. John Gregory has a training ground rated as excellent, but on the numerical scale 16 out of 20. In terms of finance, they're pretty rich as well, £17.8 million in the bank and transfer funds of £19.25 million. decent club to start with. Blackburn Rovers. Stated as rich on their finances, so we'll look at that in a second. 31,367 all-seater stadium at Ewood Park. Training ground rated again as excellent, but this time round it's 17 out of 20 for Graham Souness. Finances: 32.11 million in the bank, and transfer funds of 23 million to improve this squad. We move on to Bolton Wanderers. It's Big Sam at the club, the Reebok Stadium. 27,500 all-seater. Training ground and youth facilities rated as good. 15 out of 20. So not a great deal needed, I'd imagine, to get it up to 20. A few £1 million maybe. But there's not that many millions in the bank. 3.41 million is the bank balance, with transfer funds available of 4.6 million. Charlton Athletic, perennial guys hanging around the bottom half of the table. They are at the Valley, 26,500 all-seater capacity, with a excellent training ground rated at 16 out of 20. Alan Kirbishley is still at the club. And in terms of finance, not too bad. 7.72 million in the bank. Transfer funds of £10 million. Chelsea. Pre-Roman Abramovich. Ken Bates is still at the helm of the club. Claudio Ranieri is the manager. Stamford Bridge is a 42,000 all-seater stadium. But look at that, training ground just adequate, 14 out of 20. Finance-wise, not too bad, 14.44 million in the bank, 15 million available to spend. The overseas players are starting to come, as you'll see there. Albert Ferrer, William Gallas. Obviously Frank Lampard is already at the club. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. But yeah, pre-Roman. Obviously we are now in the post-Roman era, so we'll see what goes on for Chelsea in real life. But if you wanted to take them on in the game, that is what you have. Derby County. Pride Park in Derby is a 33,268 all-seater stadium. Training ground is just adequately rated. 11 out of 20 on that rating. Jim Smith, the old stalwart, still going at this point, and he will have 12.1 million in his bank account when he takes over, and transfer funds of 10.25 million. Could that be a save for you? Everton. Obviously we know what goes on at Everton in the original game, so we look at Goodison Park. 40,260 can fit inside the stadium on one side of Stanley Park. The training ground is rated as adequate. That's 15 out of 20. So for those who don't know, hard-coded into the game, Everton are set to leave Goodison Park at this point. So back in the past, 20 years ago, just as they are now, actually, they are in the process of looking to leave Goodison and would be moving on to a stadium called King's Dock. This, of course, never happened, but this time round we think it may well when they move to Bramley. But in terms of finances for Walter Smith, big trouble. 22.5 million pounds in debt. Yet they are still afforded up to £325,000 in transfer funds. It's looking bleak. It's a good save at Everton. Do you go in and just hang around for that takeover? Do you go in and just sell as many things from this squad as you can? What can you do with the mercurial Wayne Rooney? It's a good save. Fulham recently confirmed as back in the Premier League in 2022, but they're already there in 2001. One Edwin van der Sar in goal. Financed by Mohamed El Fayed with Jean Tigana as manager. They're at Craven Cottage, of course. 20,200 it holds, but only 6,800 of those are actually seated. And the training ground and facilities listed as just adequate, 15 out of 20. Finance-wise, obviously with Al Fayed in charge, there's quite a budget. At £21.11 million in the bank, 18.25 million in the transfer pot. That could be a good save. Ipswich Town. History tells us that Ipswich are a huge club in the days of Sir Bobby Robson and UEFA Cup wins. Could you bring those days back to Portman Road? Portman Road holds 25,500 and a training ground listed as adequate, 14 out of 20 for George Burley and his team to work with. Transfers wise, 13.46 million in the bank, 14 million transfer funds. It's a decent amount of money for Ipswich. Will you be able to attract the right type of player there? Leeds United. This was the days of Leeds splurging money all over the place. Robinson, Woodgate, Matteo, Ferdinand, Batty, Dacour, huge names. They paid and they paid and they paid. They had not gone bust yet. Peter Risdale is still in charge. 40,204 fit inside Ellen Road. An excellent rated training ground and youth facility, 18 out of 20. What can David O'Leary do? What could you possibly do with £50.5 million in a bank balance? £41.5 million in a transfer war chest. What could you do with Leeds? Leicester City. Now we know what's happened to Leicester City after these times and going on 15 years after this date to actually win the Premier League. But here they're still at Filbert Street. 22,517 can fit inside that stadium. The training ground listed as just adequate, 10 out of 20. Peter Taylor in charge. 13.72 million in the bank, 12.5 million to play with as transfer funds. Liverpool. Now, 2022 sees us watching Liverpool in a epic title challenge with Manchester City. You'll notice Manchester City conspicuous in their absence from this division. Liverpool are obviously at Anfield. 45,362 can fit inside. And a training ground listed as 18 out of 20 and excellent. Gerard Houllier, rest in peace, is in charge. Phil Thompson, his right hand man. So can you or can Gerard equip this club to get their first Premier League title in a number of years? Just £18.5 million in the bank to help you do that, although there are transfer funds available of £19.75 million. Here we are, the big one, Manchester United. Potentially the biggest club in England at this point, potentially the biggest club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And what a squad you see before you. Barthez, Laurent Blanc, the English core, the British core, Brown, Irwin, Neville, May, Keane, Beckham. Look at the bottom half of the squad. We have players like Juan Sebastian Veron, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Big names, big club. 67,800 people can fit inside Old Trafford. Their training ground, as you would expect. 20 out of 20 and rated excellent. In terms of transfer funds, just 31.17 million in the bank. And £31.5 million available to spend. I think everyone in their time has done a Manchester United save, but could you continue their run at the top? Middlesbrough. First side from the northeast that we come across here. They are at the Riverside Stadium with a capacity of 35,301, with the training ground listed as excellent, and that's 18 out of 20. Steve McLaren is still in charge. Steve Gibson, as he is today, is chairman of the club. Finances, 16.42 million in the bank and £12.5 million available. And we come to Newcastle United. Another northeast side, another powerhouse. St James's Park holds 52,143. The training ground is rated as excellent, but just 16 out of 20, so some improvement to be made there. Bobby Robson is in charge. Alan Shearer is at the club, alongside players like Laurent Robert, Alberto Solano, Gary Speed, rest in peace. Big names. Can you improve that squad? Can you take them where they were unable to get, and to get to that Premier League title? Just 4.79 million available to do that, but transfer funds of 7.5 million. So there will have to be players sold to improve the squad. There will have to be players sold if you wanted to improve those training facilities. A good challenge. Coming to the back end now. Southampton. Rupert Lowe still in charge. They are at St Mary's already though, and 32,251 can fit inside. A training ground listed as adequate, and 12 out of 20. Stuart Gray, who remembers him, is manager. 7.47 in the bank, 7.5 million to spend to improve that squad. Sunderland, another northeast side in the Premier Division. Good times for the northeast. Kevin Phillips and Niall Quinn, of course, at the club. The Stadium of Light holds 48,300, but their training ground is just adequate. 11 out of 20. Peter Reid is the manager, and he, or you, if you were to take on this challenge, has a hefty £21.17 million in the bank, and £21 million of that available to spend. Tottenham Hotspur, of course, years before they were to leave the original White Hart Lane and build a brand new stadium on the same site. So the current stadium holds just 36,240. The training ground rated as excellent. That's 16 out of 20. You see Daniel Levy there, not quite running the club yet. David Buckler is in as chairman, David Pleat on the board, Glenn Hoddle as manager. 11.6 million in the bank, 11.5 million to spend to improve that squad that has great names like Ledley King, Darren Anderton, Teddy Sheringham, Les Ferdinand, and the rest. The final club, another one that has since moved its stadium, but West Ham United are of course at Upton Park at this time. 35,000 can fit inside. The training ground listed as adequate, 15 out of 20. Another name that has unfortunately passed in charge, that is Glenn Roeder. Another Newcastle connection there. But Glenn, or you, if you were to take on this challenge, will have £6.399 million in the bank. Only afforded just about half of that though as transfer funds, £3.4 million. So that is the Premier League, that is the training facilities listed, that is the finances listed. Are you going to take on the challenge of one of these teams and see what you can do with them? If you are, good luck. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment on the YouTube video, tell me what I've missed, tell me any facts that I may have got wrong. But if you're enjoying the content, absolutely do like and subscribe, and there will be more to come. Thank you very much, guys. See you soon.